Welcome to the great NJPAC, New Jersey Performing Arts Center. I'm Steve Adubato, and this is One-on-One. I'm pleased to introduce Ted Chapin, who is President, Rodgers and Hammerstein, and also the host of a terrific series called American Songbook. Excuse me, here at NJPAC. American Songbook is airing on all the PBS stations here in the New York, New Jersey market. WNET, the PBS flagship. Yes. NJTV and WLIW. For those who have not seen, which I can't even imagine, this great series, American Songbook, what is it?
It's a series based around wonderful cabaret performers who have a show that they do for like 40 minutes. I introduce it, and they do they sing their songs, they do their show, and then we have a little chit chat. And one of the cool things about it is, although I don't think this was the way it was originally intended, if the talk is good, then after when the television guys put it all together, they tend to take some of the talk and intersperse it so that sometimes you're hearing a singer sing about a song that you've already heard them, or maybe what's going to be coming up. So they make much more interesting programs than I would have thought originally.
It is just a great series. Some of the folks you have lined up.
Well, this year we have Seth Rudetsky, who I think also is an advisor to American Song, at NJPAC. Marilyn May, who is an amazing woman of a certain years, have a few years of experience behind her. I think she performed on The Tonight Show more than any other singer, and she's amazing. Catherine Russell is a jazz performer, great. Two cabaret performers from New York, K.T. Sullivan and Jeff Harner, are doing the Sondheim Songbook. So it's a great lineup. Stephen Sondheim.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Why is it so important to keep the American Songbook alive?
Why is it important? First of all, it's important because the songs are good. And I think while everybody likes the idea of the new, there's a lot to be learned from the past. And frankly, in an era where people had time to listen, and composers and lyricists who were interested in crafting songs and lyrics, there was some amazing material that was churned out in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s. And when a new generation of singers discovers these songs, and it's a vast catalog, it's so exciting when they can find something and they'll think, I don't know this song, and look what I found in it. Look what this song says. And that's part of the fun of this kind of examination of it. It's like, you hear a song, maybe it's a song you've heard a lot of times before, but you sit up and take notice if somebody finds something new in it.
Your day job?
My day job, Rodgers and Hammerstein. I've had the pleasure and privilege of running it for many, many years.
For those who don't know what that is, they just know the names.
What that is, when Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein worked together for the very first time for a show that nobody knew if it was going to work, it ended up being a show called Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
And you may have heard of it. It worked incredibly well. And so a team was born, a team that had a lot of experience working with others. So they knew how the business worked. So from that moment on, they centralized all their business. So the office that I've run is where everything Rodgers and Hammerstein is centered. If you want to do a show in a high school, if you want to do a commercial using My Favorite Things, if you want to do a new production of South Pacific on television, anything you can imagine, all has to come through the office.
Why have you told folks, including our producers, it's the best job you could ever have?
Well, that's a wonderful question.
But you said it.
Yeah, no, I've said it.
Well, I mean, I say this is the best job.
Yeah, well, see.
I know why.
But aren't we lucky to say that? It's because I loved the theater when I was growing up, but I didn't necessarily want to be a something. I didn't want to be an actor or a director. I didn't know what a producer was. So the idea of being a part of the theater world, I did do a lot of different things growing up. I was a production assistant director. Never acted except in college, but that was probably the best place for me to keep that. Here's a job where I am the squire of this extraordinary body of American work, and to steer the shows, the songs in a smart way, I pull on all the experiences that I've had. No 2 days are ever alike. That's the other thing, is that who knows what's going to go.
That is true.
We have The King and I playing at Lincoln Center now, and a brand new production of The Sound of Music in Los Angeles making its way east. And every day it's like, are we going to talk about this? Are we going to talk about that?
Are you a business person as well as someone in the
arts? I'm an instinctive business person. I have no training as business. I just, tried to figure it out.
Are you an entrepreneur?
Probably yes. That's probably the best way to describe what I am, because a lot of estates, I mean, Rodgers and Hammerstein are no longer here, so it's sort of estate mentality. A lot of them have people who are emotionally connected and perhaps with problems about, oh gosh, how am I going to deal with dad's music or dad's shows? I'm a hired hand, but I have a sensitivity to all that. Also, my mother was a Steinway, so I understand the idea of a family business. So that's kind of fun. I find that interesting. I pull on that, I think, often.
In college, what was the Follies?
Okay, when I grew up in New York, loved the
Where?
theater. In the East Side, 67th and Lexington, where Hunter College is now. There's one apartment house around Hunter College. That's where I grew up. Loved the theater, went to the theater all the time. And when I was in college, I saw Company, which blew me away, the original production of the Sondheim Prince Company, Michael Bennett as well. Loved it, wanted to be part of that world, knew that those same people were doing a show called Follies. Happened to be the second semester of my junior year at college. I talked the college into letting me observe it. Talked Hal Prince to letting me observe it.
Whoa. You talked Hal Prince?
Right. I'd met him through my parents because my father was in the biz. Okay. And I said, I just want to observe it. I want to see how it's done. Lucky for me, the show was over budget, so they didn't have a production assistant. So I ended up getting coffee, driving people to rehearsal, and I did everything. And I kept a journal because I wanted to get course credit from college. And many years later, I was challenged to turn that journal into a book. So I did. It was published in 2003. It's called Everything Was Possible: The Birth of the Musical Follies. And it's a good book. I mean, enough people have said to me, that's a good book. So,
as I'm listening to you talk about it, that experience, and what you're doing now, connected back to NJPAC and the American Songbook series, you've gone after the things you've wanted to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So say someone says, I have this obsession about talking to people about how they think things are going to happen. You wait, you let the universe come to you, and I don't want to argue with people about these things. I go, you're kidding me, right? You actually think that happens?
But also, as you know, you're born into a family that is whatever it is.
Go ahead.
And if you don't seize the opportunities that are presented to you, the next guy's going to. And there's no reason in the world not to say, Dad, could I? I think I could do that.
I see the world the same way.
Yes,
you have to go
indeed.
after it. Ted Chapin, president of Rodgers and Hammerstein, host of a terrific series. Watch it on the PBS stations here in the New York, New Jersey market. It's called American Songbook. The great NJPAC on WNET, NJTV, and WLIW out in Long Island, but you see it all around here as well. Thank you, Ted. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Isn't this place great, NJPAC?
It is.
Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJPAC has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence, and by the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, in cooperation with NJTV and 13 for WNET. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato at NJPAC has been provided by TD Bank, Cone Resnick, Gibbons PC, Josh S. Weston, the Fidelco Group, the Northward Center, and by Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department. Promotional support provided by NJ.com, Small News, Big News, True Jersey. And by NJ Biz, all business, all New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.